Welcome to this programming tutorial. Today we will be looking at recursive techniques. By now you should be confident in using iteration. Recursive techniques are similar to iteration except that it is when a subroutine calls itself, therefore causing a loop. Let's create a subroutine called factorial. This will calculate the factorial value of any number. Before continuing, I would advise you research how factorial works in order to gain a better understanding of what we are doing. To give an example, 5 factorial would be the multiplication of 5 by 4 by 3 by 2 by 1, which is 120. 3 factorial would be the multiplication of 3 by 2 by 1, which would be 6. 100 factorial would be 100 multiplied by every number before it until 1. This subroutine will take an integer as a parameter. That way we can set up user input and effectively make a factorial calculator. And we will be returning an integer at the end, so make sure you have int instead of void. Recursive subroutines have 3 main conditions to work. One, it must have a base case to stop the recursion, or else you'll end up with an infinite loop. For the base case, we will use a stopping condition to stop the recursion. 2, any input values other than the stopping condition must call itself. You will see what that means in a little while. 3, the stopping condition must be reachable after a finite amount of times. In other words, a stopping condition is not a stopping condition unless it can be reached eventually. Let's create a base case using a selection statements. In this case, we will say that once the inputted value, or the parameter value, equals 0, we will return 1. Else, if the value is above 1, then we will return the value multiplied by the factorial of itself minus 1. This can be a bit confusing, so let's break it down. If we are running factorial 4, then what is happening is we pass the base case and run 4 times factorial 3, which then runs 3 times factorial 2, which then runs 2 times factorial 1, which just returns 1. Think of recursion like a spring. Once we reach our base case, the spring shoots back up. 2 multiplied by factorial 1, which is 1, equals 2. 3 times factorial 2, which is 2, is 6. 4 times factorial 3, which is 6, is 24. Recursion works by compressing itself again and again until the base case releases it, and it performs all the calculations. Like a spring, the recursive subroutine will compress and compress until it can't anymore, and then it will release. Practice using recursion to build your confidence in it. For example, build a subroutine to solve the Fibonacci sequence. Research may be required for this. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you have found it helpful.